back. I'm here with Jared and Eric. And guys, we're going to move on to NHL and the playoffs. Bruins got their tough matchup that they didn't want with the Red Wings. So just give me your thoughts on the matchup, like what you think, Jared.
It's funny that the best team in the East gets one of the toughest matchups, I think. It was either Detroit or Columbus, and do you take a Columbus team without Nathan Horton, or do you take Detroit with getting back Datsuk and Zetterberg if they're healthy? Wow, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It's not going to be an easy series like people would imagine that the first seed gets. It is not going to be tough for it's not going to be easy for the Bruins. Detroit, they have speed. That's the one thing I think people are forgetting. They think of the star power with Datsuk and Zetterberg, but you forget that they do have speed. And Montreal has speed. And you know that Montreal is a tough test because of their speed. So think about that. If we have a quick, talented team like Detroit going against the Bruins, it is going to be a pretty close matchup that it's not going to be a quick 4 or 5 game series for the best team. It's going to be down to 6 to 7 games with this. So Eric, I'll let you.
Yeah, I mean, this is not what I wanted. I don't think this is what Bruins fans wanted. Detroit, like you said, has been one of the best teams in the league for 2 decades now. They are playoff time. They are one of the teams to beat every year. Of course, you would have liked to see Columbus, but the bottom line is, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, anything can happen. 8 seeds beat 1 seed, 7 seeds beat 2 seeds. There's always upsets, so any matchup is going to be tough, but this matchup with Detroit is one of the toughest I think the Bruins have had in the first round over the years, and that's saying a lot because in 2011 they went to 7 games with Montreal. Last year they were pretty much knocked out of the playoffs by Toronto in the first round. They've been eliminated a couple times in the first round. But this is I think the best team they've faced in Detroit with Datsuk, with all these guys that they have. Zetterberg may not be back for the series, but if he is, that'll be a huge, huge advantage for Detroit to have him back. But I still like the Bruins. They are the best team in the league this year. I still like them to win this series, but I think it'll be tough. It'll go long, 6 or 7 games. The Bruins take it, but it's going to be tough.
It's all about staying healthy, too, because now that we have Paille is now looking day-to-day, he might not play. He's had concussion issues. He gets hit on a clean hit, but concussion goes out. So that's scary if you lose Paille, who is great shorthanded and penalty killing. I love Paille. Bergeron obviously sat the third period. I think that was just minor. I would like to think if it was just that he got his 30th goal and they sat him. That's what I like to think. And then Jerome McGinley has had a few tests recently. So I hope this team can stay healthy, because if they are healthy, they're one of the best in the NHL. But if they do start getting injured, they've already lost Seidenberg. Their young defense is going to be tested. And so it's questioning, is Barkowski going to be the guy? Mazzaros, who's going to sit? It looks like it might be Mazzaros, which do I trust Barkowski out there? I don't really. And so, but then if Zetterberg comes back, like I said, it just makes it that much harder for the young D, for the Bruins.
That's a great point. I'm glad you brought up the young defense, because at the middle point of the year when Seidenberg got hurt, it was like the sky is falling. What's going to happen with this defensive core? And I think over the second half of the year, we said, wow, this is pretty good. These young guys are stepping up. They're playing well. Dougie Hamilton is growing into a role of being more physical, being more of a dominant force out there. But now this is the real season. This is the playoffs. This is where your defense gets tested the most. This is where we used to see Chara and Seidenberg together. We're not going to have that this year, so it's going to be interesting to see how the defense fits in, who's playing with who's going to get exposed. I think that's going to be a big test, especially in this first round against some of the offensive talent up front that Detroit has. I think that's a big thing. One good thing about this long layoff, the Bruins don't play until Friday, is hopefully Paille will be rested and ready to go. Bergeron will be ready to go. But other than that, this 5-day layoff is terrible. We want the playoffs to start. It's the best time of the year, the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, but you're getting ready, everyone. You are reminded every year that the Stanley Cup playoffs are the best time in sports, and I will say everything else that you guys throw at me as being better, I will disagree with it entirely.
I don't disagree with you.
I thought you were a big NBA guy. No?
Yeah, also, the NBA is going on. I don't care. I'm going to go with the Bruins. I think they're going to take the series in about 6 or 7. It's going to be a close series.
Yep, same here. Like I said earlier, I think it's going to go long. It seems to be that the Bruins in the first round, it always is a long series. It's always the toughest. So I'm taking the Bruins, but it's going to be tough. Long series.
All right, I'm going to say Bruins in 6-2. And in the playoffs, it's all about matchups. The seeding, it kind of disappears along the playoffs. Like, it's about who you're going up against, how they handled you during the season, which for the Bruins, it wasn't very well with the Red Wings.
Right.
But as far as seeding, the reason I think they're going to win in 6 is because of home ice. I feel like that'll be a factor if they can kill them early. I think they have a shot to actually end in 6 instead of 7.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to the rest of the playoff picture, which is a pretty interesting one. So first we got Montreal, Tampa Bay, which is a pretty good matchup, I think.
Great
It's pretty
matchup.
even. So, Jared?
What an excellent matchup. My God. But Montreal, I would pick easily to go and face the Bruins in the next matchup. But Tampa Bay is a very talented team, but the key thing right now is Ben Bishop, who is arguably one of the top 2 goalies in the East. He is now injured day to day. They're not sure if he's going to be ready to go. They might throw Lynn back out there. Good luck. I think Montreal has this one locked in because Tampa Bay has lost their resident goalie.
Yeah, this series reminds me of some of the Pittsburgh-Philly series over the last few years where I don't think much defense is going to be played by either team. Montreal and Tampa Bay, they're more offensive-minded teams. Like you said, Bishop is out. So, Tampa Bay is going to probably allow some goals. These are 2 high-powered offensive teams. I think we're going to see a lot of goals scored. It's going to be highly entertaining. Luckily, Stamkos is back for the playoffs, which is going to be great. A great matchup. It's tough. I'm going to pick Montreal because what's better than Boston, Montreal in the playoffs?
Especially
I think
when
we're
they're
going
the
to see
only
it.
Canadian team. So,
Exactly.
those Canadian things are going to go crazy. It's going to be ridiculous.
That's nice. I'm going to go with Montreal in 5 games, actually. I think all those 5 games are going to be all close, but I think Montreal might be able to finish them off a little bit early.
Tampa Bay does have home ice in that series. Funny
I
enough.
know, it's always going to be a
They
factor.
only have to face, 3 games in Montreal that we're going to have to go? So, good luck. Those
right.
species out there, Canadian hockey fans.
Take it easy, Trent. Take it easy.
It's awesome. I love it. I think it's a great thing.
It should be a great matchup, though, if they do make it to the Bruins. I think everybody's going to be looking forward to that. All right, next matchup in the East is going to be Rangers and the Flyers. So, Jared, what do you think about that?
This is an awkward series because I'm not sure who to pick in this matchup. But think about this: we're talking about the Flyers in the postseason. Remember the beginning of the year we were talking writing up how pathetic that franchise is, and look at them. They came right back. They're a talented team, and you know what? Talented enough that I think they're going to go right over the Rangers. St. Louis is still not really done anything yet since he left Tampa Bay, and I don't think that the Rangers' defense can really hold up. I don't think their defense is that stacked and talented enough. They have the goalie advantage, but I think their defense, I don't know. There's something about the Flyers in the postseason that always gives me a scare. I'm scared of the Flyers in the postseason. They always step it up. They're a great team. I think they're going to defeat the Rangers.
Yeah, Philly played great hockey in the second half of the year. Earlier in the winter, the Bruins go down there and crush them 6-1 or whatever it was. But Philly played tremendous down the stretch. I think they're hot right now. Always a question mark with their goaltending, though, and it's no different this year. I think the goaltending matchup definitely favors the Rangers in this series. But I like Philly. I like how they're playing. The Rangers, they haven't been as good as they have been in recent years, where they were, one of the best teams in the league. They kind of just flew under the radar this year. They got off to a terrible start. Like Philly, they rebounded too, but I like Philly in this one. They're playing better at the moment.
I'm going to kind of take a risk on this one, say the Rangers in 7. I'm going to bid on St. Louis, like having a huge playoff, somehow bounce back. And the last time I did something like that, I said Chad Ochocinco was going to catch the game winner in the Super Bowl.
There you go.
So we'll see how that
how'd
works
that
out. But we'll see. I think the Rangers are still a pretty good team. It's another matchup.
If St. Louis doesn't do anything, the Rangers are going to regret that trade because it is not looking good right now.
Well, we'll have to see next year, too.
Yeah.
But, right now, I'd definitely say it hasn't gone well for them.
Definitely not.
All right, so the final matchup in the East is probably the easiest one, and I'm assuming you're both going to pick the Penguins, but we'll see.
Oh, yeah. The Penguins have this one. It's maybe a sweep, maybe 5 games. Columbus can even notch out a game. Penguins, they're going to win this series, but I don't know how they're going to stack up later on in the postseason because their defense is very lacking. In fact, when they re-signed Malkin, that was such a question mark to me. I don't think they needed to do that. I think they really need to up their defense because they have Paul Martin, who's like a dinosaur. He's always injured. Letang, though, awesome. He is playing again. He's played in the last 2 series after suffering the stroke. Awesome. It's going to be great to see that. But again, then Orpik is on that team. USA fans, you know that, how that goes. But yeah, Pittsburgh's going to beat Columbus. Columbus doesn't even have Nathan Horton, and good for them for making that postseason, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, good for Columbus is right. They've suffered a long time with doing nothing, so it's good to see them get in the playoffs, but they're not going to do anything against Pittsburgh. They don't have playoff hero Nathan Horton in the lineup. Pittsburgh's just too good for them. Whether Pittsburgh's going to be the force they have been later on, I don't know, but they are far superior to Columbus. Columbus, I saw them play the Bruins a couple of times this year. They are not a playoff caliber team to go deep in the playoffs.
I would love to see Columbus actually just win the first game, just see if anybody starts to panic, but I do think the Penguins will have this one pretty easily. All right, we're going to shift over to the West now. St. Louis and Chicago, probably the best matchup in the whole playoffs. So, Jared.
Yeah, the NBA, you don't see that. You don't see the two best teams, one of the two top three teams in the first round of the playoffs. You do not see that in the NBA. Wow, what a matchup.
We're not going to have the Bobcats and the Heat or
Go
something?
Raptors. Okay, so... My God, the two best teams in the West going at it in the first round of the playoffs. It's just so sad that one of these teams are going to be one and done. But injuries have taken over both these teams. St. Louis is very banged up. In fact, they lost 6 in a row, and they're not looking too great going into the postseason, but I think they'll step it around. But then you look at Chicago, and Taves and Kane have been injured around, and so it's going to be very interesting because I think that series is going to be unbelievable. I'm proud that happened. But I do think St. Louis is going to take this series in 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, I mean, these are the two teams that we think had the best chance to play the Bruins in the Stanley Cup, and they're facing off in the first round. It's going to be a great, great series to watch. I think the best, without a doubt, in the first round. It's one of the series that I'm going to watch, probably try to watch every single game because it's just going to be great. But neither team really is playing to the top of their ability right now, like they were earlier in the season. So it'll be interesting to see how the series shakes out because I don't think either team is at full strength.
I'm gonna go with Chicago.
And I didn't make a pick. I'm gonna go with Chicago. I think Chicago.
I loved watching St. Louis this year. I think a lot of people did, but I'm just not. I still don't trust them in the playoffs. This could be the year. It happens with every team. You get experience, they've gotten the experience, so it's possible that they can win. But I see Chicago winning.
Yeah, and I said St. Louis would make the Cup final a couple months ago, but I don't like the way they're playing right now, and I didn't think they would be playing Chicago in the first round. I think Chicago will win this first round series.
All right, so moving on to the next matchup. Colorado, Minnesota, kind of like one of the weirder ones in the West.
This is going to be a matchup not a lot of people tune into, which I feel bad because I think Colorado and Minnesota are both two talented teams, but Colorado especially. Don't forget, Colorado beat Chicago in the division, I believe. I believe I still get the division messed up with the new alignment, but I believe they still beat Chicago and St. Louis in the division. You wouldn't think that, but I think Colorado has just such a young core amount of guys with Matt Duchene, and they are so talented, and I think they are going to beat the Wild. But don't count the Wild out. They're going to be close, but I do think it's going to be Colorado.
I think Minnesota has a sneaky good team. I saw them play the Bruins at one of the games I went to earlier in the year, and Zach Parise and that whole group, I think they could make some Suter. They could make some noise in this series. I think I'm going to go with Minnesota here. I like Colorado, but I think experience does hurt them because they haven't been here before.
I'm probably going to go with Colorado in 7. It's just another matchup that's kind of two very close teams. I'm very, I guess, uneducated in the word with the Wild would be the word. I haven't seen them a lot this year, but I mean, I'm interested in seeing what they can do against Colorado. So next matchup, we got San Jose, LA, probably my favorite matchup in the whole playoffs.
Really good one.
So go ahead, Jared.
This one's a phenomenal matchup because of last year, the same exact matchup, and it went to 7 games. It was incredible. But I'm not sure who I want to pick in this one just because it's just so close, and I think LA, their inability to put the puck in the net is such a problem. But I didn't think they were going to go up against San Jose, who, if there's another team that goes into the playoffs with such high expectations, and everyone's like, yeah, the Sharks, and then they fall every year under Jumbo Joe. And I do think that although I critiqued and criticized the LA Kings earlier this year, I do think that they will be able to stop this team of the Sharks because the Sharks do this almost every year.
Yeah, the Sharks are one of those teams that, underperforms every postseason, but I like them in the series. I think they're going to make some noise this year in the playoffs. This is going to be, one of probably their last go-around the next couple of years. There's not much time left with that core group. They're getting older, Joe Thornton. So I think they're going to make a run this year. I like them in that series.
But I think goaltending-wise, I think it's very close. Niemi versus Quick, that's going to be awesome.
Great goaltending matchup.
I'm going to go with kind of a wild one here, and I'm going to say San Jose in a sweep. But I think it's going to be
Sweep?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very close games all around.
Wow.
But like you said, what we were talking about with St. Louis with experience, I think San Jose is finally pushed to the limit. I think they're
hope so.
I think they're finally ready to step up in the playoffs. So I think this will be the series that people are surprised that they'll show up for, because it is going to be a tough matchup. All right, so the final one, Anaheim. Do you think they're going to win or no?
Well, the fact that they're going against Dallas, and the fact is they're going against Tyler Seguin, when Dallas has to rely on Tyler Seguin to lead them over Anaheim, I'm sorry, no. Tyler Seguin, I think Bruins fans may not have forgotten at all that that guy is not somebody that you want as your leader. I think Dallas is going to get swept by Anaheim easily.
Yep, I like Anaheim too, but I am interested to see how Tyler Seguin performs in this series. He is the guy now for a team. We'll see if he plays that way in his first go-around in the playoffs in that kind of a role.
We have to rely on the guy with 1 goal in 22 playoff games last year. Good luck.
Well, that's why you don't have to like the guy, but the guy is set to be a potential future star. No pun intended with the Dallas Stars, but it's going to be fun to see what he does in this playoff matchup with Anaheim, a really great team.
Absolutely.
But I'm going with Anaheim, and I'd say 5 games. Not a sweep, maybe Stars will take 1. All right, guys, pretty good predictions. Interesting ones.
A lot of great matchups.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. NBA Finals, get ready for those ones too. That'll be
You
interesting.
don't want to do NBA predictions real quick, or no?
No, maybe
Who
next
wants-
week.
Who wants to tune in to see the same 3 teams win every year? It's exciting. What a players' league that is. I hope you guys love that. Go watch on ESPN.
Hey, shout out to Bubba Watson winning the Masters
Yes,
second time
definitely.
in 3 years yesterday.
All right. That would have been your ram rant if you had
If
one.
we had Ram Rants.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. From us at Studio 73, we'll see you guys at the finale.